We are the Institute for Intuitive Intelligence, revolutionizing intuition by training spiritually fierce women globally as qualified intuitive guides. Subscribe for the leading research and teachings on the conversation of intuition development. Hey, dear beloveds. Well, I am coming to you from a new location today, a little bit bleary-eyed because I flew in late last night to Magnetic Island, which is off the coast of Townsville in Queensland. For those of you who don't know, let me show you the view. You can tell it's a bit warmer than where I normally am. You can kind of see the view behind me, but I'm going to turn it around. That's my current view. I think you can hear the ocean. It is not too shabby. And it is such an absolute pleasure to be here as part of the Excellence Collective. We're running a retreat for entrepreneurial women who are right into their soul service. But today I wanted to, from this amazing, expansive perspective, which is just the absolute blessing of getting to be in environments like this, I wanted to have a little chat about subconscious fear. And I've been beautifully schooled by the gorgeous Alicia Halpin, our teaching and learning coordinator and lead mentor in the Institute. And I'm studying with her as several or many of our graduate priestesses are around intuitive intelligence embodiment. But we were talking a lot today about emotions and feelings and understanding how to sit in a compassionate detachment around our emotions, because it is the language of the subconscious, and the subconscious is trying to show you what is stored in the subtle body, in your subconscious, and help you clear that out. And one of the things I was commenting on as Alicia was sharing this is that is big work and challenging work to be able to do this for ourselves. Very often what we need is a guide or a trainer who can take us into our subconscious to help us decode the emotion. What is this emotion trying to help me understand? And so if I have your permission today, I thought that I would do a little bit of a demonstration of how the intuitive intelligence trainer accesses the subconscious on behalf of the client or the volunteer today to identify the dominant negative self-belief that's running the subconscious program at this moment in time, what I am best able to serve you to be able to understand. So very often we feel our emotions so strongly that we aren't able to get that. Well, what's going on here? What am I really feeling? What's the informing belief behind this emotion? And that is our task. That is what the intuitive intelligence trainer is trained to do for you, so that then you've got something to work with. So if anyone's interested, I know my connection's a little bit dodgy, in having me evaluate their subconscious today and to identify the dominant negative self-belief, I would be absolutely privileged to do that. Hopefully the connection is all good and working. And I really want to just show you what is possible when you learn how to communicate with the subconscious, which is the subtle body, where those beliefs are stored, how we can begin to emancipate our energy, or as Alicia was helping us understand, what we're really learning to do is reclaim our power, because these stuck emotions are showing us where we're out of power, where we've lost our power, and we're losing or leaking our power to whatever that belief is. And if we don't have an insight or the time or space or the resources or the training to be able to identify those dominant negative self-beliefs, we can be really, really running out of energy, running out of our personal power very quickly. All right, beloved Alonka, thank you for volunteering so I can do a little demo for us all, and you can see what it's like to have that experience of being able to decode through your non-local intuition what's happening in that subtle body. And Alonka is a student of the 3rd level, so I know she understands this process. But effectively what happens in this experience is that your intuitive intelligence trainer will take you into a state of being where we can access theta brainwave state. So we can access the subconscious. That is the gateway to, theta is the gateway to the subconscious. And that's the only level where real change can occur. So I'll guide us all into a few minutes of energy expansion so that we can go into that state. I know that Alonka is highly experienced at this, so it would be easier for her, but I'd love for all of you to have that experience. And then if there are any other volunteers, I'd love to be able to serve you. Being able to identify that dominant negative fear program is a really important step in emancipating our personal power and increasing our own intuition. So it's vital work. It's vital to any form of healing. If we don't understand what is the dominant program running any of these dis-ease programs in our body, then we cannot heal at any level: mental, emotional, spiritual, psychic, physical, whatever level you want to think about it. So Alonka, darling, I'm going to serve you, and I'd love everyone who's here. I hope these waves aren't too loud. Do let me know. It's not a bad problem to have, is it? If the waves are too loud, let me know and I can pop inside and hide away from this glorious ocean. But I am enjoying it a lot, and it certainly feels very, very expansive and easy to get into that theta brainwave state when we're surrounded by such amazing natural beauty. So we're going to, if you're safe to do so, I invite you to join me to close down your eyes, and we're going to go inwards just for a few moments to expand our subtle body and open to that communication and allow ourselves to attune to that theta brainwave state, or as close as we can get at this time. Closing down the eyes, deepening the breath, and we're signifying to our nervous system that we're very safe. We're safe to be here. And we're withdrawing our attention from the superficial world. And we're going within to the world within the world. And then taking 2 fingers or the palm of your hand to the center of your chest if you haven't already done so. And we're moving into a place of deep compassion. And that compassion is a fearless state. Meeting and releasing our subconscious fear is never something to be afraid of. For fear is simply an illusion. It's a machination of the ego that believes in separation. But when we learn how to productively work with our fear, to be curious about our fear, we find the keys to our freedom. And if anyone else watching would like me to evaluate their subtle body, their subconscious, just add your name as I go in now to attune to Alonka. And the process when you work with an intuitive intelligence trainer is that they'll guide you into that extended altered state of consciousness, expanding that subtle body to allow that entrainment to their frequency so that everything is being done in this sacred container. You're very safe, you're very powerfully held by me, and I'm held by that infinite consciousness that is all around us. And with Alonka's permission, I'm going to attune now to her subtle body and identify the layers to her dominant negative self-belief so that we may support her to call back her power and come back into the fullest expression of who and what she is. Alonka, just feeling yourself in that beautiful, open, expansive state, knowing that I am holding you, my darling sister. And the first layer of the fear is, I am a problem. And what's deeper than that is, I am broken and need to be fixed. And what's deeper than that is I am unfixable. There is something unfixable within me. I am broken. And therefore I cannot be of God. Your dominant negative self-belief is, I am not of God because I am broken. And as Alonka knows, naming our dominant negative self-belief is not to create more fear, but to release that subconscious program, to begin to emancipate that energy where it's become knotted and twisted in her subconscious, stopping the flow of her infinite nature towards her. And we're going to identify the shadow that is associated with that dominant fear, Alonka. It's one of the 13 sacred archetypes that we work with in the 3rd level program, that the intuitive intelligence trainer is trained to serve you through. And the associated archetype is the mother in her shadow. And the mother in her shadow loves through fear. She's afraid for her children. She tries to protect them from the world, and she tries to constantly put a barrier of perceived safety between them and the world because she doesn't trust the world. The world is a scary, broken place to the mother in her shadow, and she is the only thing that stands between the world and her precious children. But her love is not the love that we would associate with God. It is the love of fear. And she sees problems everywhere. Everything is a problem, and she must try to fix it. So she's the ultimate control freak. And here, my darling, we see this dominant negative self-belief of I am not of God because I am broken, is this constant perception of yourself through the lens of there is a problem, I am a problem, I need to try to fix myself, I need to figure out how to fix myself. And this constant belief that there's more work, more work, more work, and that you will never be good enough, healed enough, fixed enough. Problem after problem will arise. And it's your personal responsibility to try to control all of that and fix all of that single-handedly, both within yourself and in the world, because you reflect that lens of brokenness out into the world around you. And it's time to let go, to surrender into that infinite embrace, to see yourself as God sees you, unbroken, perfect and whole and holy, and to stop trying to create the solution from the mind, but to surrender back into that infinite consciousness. What we'll do, Alonka, and for anyone else who's volunteered, is as we move through this process of a few more people have volunteered, we'll then go into an atonement together. And that's the energetic shift where we move that subconscious fear program out, we unknot it energetically. But even by gazing with this compassionate, higher frequency upon the subconscious, we're already shifting it. It's like pulling a weed out of the garden, making space for love. Thank you, dear Alonka, for letting me serve you. And Joey, I'll attune now. Same again, the fear is not the problem. The fear being spoken into the light is how we create transfiguration, how we transmute the darkness into the light. And when we don't know what's in that subconscious basement, then we are vulnerable to it. That is the problem, when we are unaware. All right. So, my darling, just taking your hand to the center of your chest, knowing that I am holding you and the infinite is holding us all. Very interesting parallels with Alonka's energy of this fear that I am not a good person. I have experienced things that make me believe that I am bad or wrong. I am poisoned at my essence. And that's why these bad things have happened to me. Your dominant negative self-belief is, I am not a good person. And just holding you in that compassionate gaze, dear Joey, knowing that we don't want to carry this program around any longer. We want to bring it up into the light, away from the shadows of the subconscious. You're very safe for us to transmute this fear now. And this plays out through the energy of the crone, one of the sacred 13 archetypes. And the crone here is rejecting the world. And because of this fear or this belief that you are poisoned, that there's something wrong, that you're not a good person at your essence, you will often notice that you reject the world, you shun it, you push people away, you close yourself off because of that fear of being rejected, because you aren't worthy of receiving, you aren't good enough, or the poison within you will make other people toxic. So there's this rejection of others before they reject you, rejection of the world, rejection of following your highest path because of this fear that you won't be able to attain it anyway, that you are outcast, that you're shunned away like the crone who lives in the middle of the forest, no longer a valuable member of society. Scary stories are told about the crone in the forest as the witch, and she's an outcast from the world. But rather than that being a loving choice, that's a fear rejection choice that's coming up for you through this intersection of the dominant fear and the crone archetype. And it's a very beautiful program for us to reinscribe today, so that you may allow yourself to receive, you may receive the blessings that are waiting for you, that are there for you to scoop up if you allow yourself to believe you're worthy of receiving them, that you are good, you are of God, you are as God sees you, whole and perfect. And that willingness to put down this belief of I am not good because of the things that have happened to me, the things within me that have attracted that to me, that there must be that program within me that calls these things into being. Today we reinscribe that subconscious and liberate your energy back to the present moment. And Joey, join me in the atonement, which we will go into once I've done one or two more of these evaluations, for that collective blessing, that returning of the subconscious program to oneness, to the truth that you are God made manifest, you are divine and holy perfection, and that this fear program has prevented you from inheriting that truth in the fullness of your being. Crystal, thank you, dear sister, for allowing me to serve you in this way. And once again, I am holding you, and it is righteous and holy work for us to go to meet and release your fear now. You don't want to carry this program around anymore. It's had its day, its expiry date is up, and it's time for us to retrain your consciousness to the truth of what you are. Your fear, we've kind of gone straight into the deepest layer, but I'll speak it through so that we can identify it. I have no value. So Crystal, that dominant negative self-belief is that I'm without value. I have nothing to contribute that is worthy. I am unworthy. I am without value. And this plays out through the archetype of the priestess in her shadow form. there is a great sense of an externalization of your worth. So looking to the outside to give you validation, to give you validity, to give you value, other people's opinions way too heavily. And your life is often dominated or controlled from this fear perspective by others' perception of you, rather than that internal perception of self-authorizing. The priestess in her light form is self-authorizing. She gives herself permission to give herself value. And your sense of identity is often invested in other people outside of you. So your fear of creating something, of setting up your service or really going at it, or the doubts that arise as you do, these are because your worth is being measured in your eyes by other people's opinions of you. And that is unsustainable because you're leaking that energy externally all of the time. And it's not even necessarily opinions that are addressed to you, but it's your perception of others negatively judging you. This idea that doubt enters into your creations, whatever it is that you show up to bring into the world. This doubt will plague you. I hope everyone can hear me over this glorious ocean that I am hearing in the background. But the priestess in her light form is self-approving and self-authorizing, and that calling your energy back in now to carry it within your own being, that sovereignty, to self-determine, to know for you what is right, and not allowing anyone else's assessment of you or your imagining of their assessment of you to guide you or restrict you. Thank you, dear Crystal. Please stay so we can gather for the atonement together and clear this energy. Okay, let me just check how we're doing. All right. Natasha, once more, my darling, thank you for allowing me to serve you in this way. And please know that in drawing our consciousness to the darkness within our subconscious, we are bringing it to the light. To ignore our fear is what causes us harm, not to address our fear. So we are actually doing the most profound healing work that we can when we're willing to go towards identifying those subconscious fear programs and drawing them into the light. So Natasha, I am holding you, and the infinite consciousness is holding us both. And the first layer of that fear is I am trouble, or I am always in trouble. I cannot get it right. I'm always misunderstood. My actions are perceived incorrectly. I am a misfit. I do not belong. Your dominant negative self-belief is I do not belong in this world. And that plays out through the shadow of the form of the warrior. And it feels as though life is a constant battle, a war, and you're always having to take up arms to defend yourself, or to try to get others to understand you, or to see through the trouble or the chaos that's all around you. To actually sit in peace feels like a very far away, distant shore, that there is no peace. There's this constant sense of warrior energy, but in that shadow form of having to defend and protect, and feeling so vulnerable to a world that seems to willfully misunderstand you. And so there's no way to put down your armor, to just rest, even though you feel you're trying so hard. And the warrior in her light form needs no one to understand her motives or her actions. She is righteous. She is like that energy of Wonder Woman. She goes out in the name of what matters to her without needing to be approved of or understood or even to have community. She is very comfortable in her oneness. her solitariness, which she does not perceive as isolation, but rather a sense of, I am breaking new ground, I'm creating a new paradigm, and I may not be understood, and that's okay. I can handle that responsibility. So there's a real sense of the warrior queen emerging in you, my darling, where that sovereignty of the queen, where she can see what others cannot yet see. And rather than seeing it as her failure that others don't understand, she sees it as that she is pioneering a new way of being. Thank you so much, dear sister, for allowing me to serve you in that way. And please stay for the atonement so we can collectively shift the energy, that knotted fear in the subconscious, and return it to the light. Okay, how are we doing here? All right, I think we will do one more. So that will be Jennifer Barter. Thank you everyone for allowing me to serve you, especially in this incredibly expansive energy. I'll just show you, if you didn't see before, my current view. This amazing magnetic island looking out towards Townsville. So if you can hear crashing waves in the background, that is what is going on. All right, so Jennifer, once more, dear one, we are so safe to go towards our subconscious sphere, and when we can illuminate our consciousness by shining light where there was darkness, we are the cause of true healing for ourselves and others. And I am holding you, dear Jennifer, and the infinite is holding us all. So your dominant negative self-belief is very big, very archetypal. I must sacrifice myself on behalf of everyone else. It's the energy of the crucifixion. So the martyr, that I must hang myself on the cross in order to prove my worth. And that martyrdom energy is the shadow. And it's very similar to the mother energy in her shadow, that martyr mother, but I just want to make sure we're getting the right energy. No, for you it's the alchemist healer, and that healer archetype within you is very strong. But right now we're in that martyr, that I have to sacrifice myself, and this might feel like burnout or pushing yourself too hard, ignoring your own needs, putting everybody else before yourself, taking this weight of the world on your shoulders, like you must try to save the world from itself. And that martyr energy is like being on the cross. It cannot last, it cannot work long term, because we will just exhaust ourselves, we'll drain the life out of ourselves. It is not your personal responsibility to try to heal the world, dear one. And to bring that pleasure and curiosity and joy back into your service, back into your life, in whatever way you show up to your work, whatever that work is, to become playful and lighter of being, because right now that heavy weight that you're carrying is really dragging everything down, and it makes it very hard for anyone to be able to be served by you, because you are in that place of contraction, even though what you want very much is to be expansive. And so we invite you to be in the image of the resurrection, that allowing the worries and the pains and the heaviness to transform you, not to overwhelm you, to just trust the process of your life and the world. That is true alchemy. That's where you can really operate from, dear one. There's so much power in you. Okay, dear beloveds, let's move now into the atonement. I'm aware there are more people that I haven't had time to serve today, and I am so sorry for that, but I will come back and do this again if this is something that you are gaining benefit from. But the most important phase is what we're going to do together now collectively. So if you were evaluated, please join in this process. And if you weren't, but you feel connected to what was being shared because there's no accident that you're here listening, then allow yourself to receive this atonement, this blessing, because this is the change. So we've pulled out that weed from the subconscious, but now to ensure that more weeds don't grow back in its place, we need to transmute the soil. We need to change the conditions of the subconscious and rewire, retrain your consciousness. And this is the work of the intuitive intelligence trainer, to be able to support you to find these places of knots, these weeds that are blocking the free flow of life to you, and to pull them out of the ground of your being and to return you to your true gloriousness. So this will only take a minute, but I invite you now to take your hand or hands over your heart center. We're going to alter our vibrational frequency now at will. Going to alchemize our personal energy and open to the one mind, to that infinite consciousness all around us, by attuning to feelings that elevate our frequency. So I invite you now to imagine your most favorite place in the world, maybe looking out at this view with me right now. Whether that's the top of a mountain or a forest, a tropical island, a resort pool, whatever that place is for you, maybe the last place you traveled to, somewhere you imagine going when you can travel again, but locate yourself somewhere that brings you so much joy. Imagine yourself there, feeling the temperature on your skin, the smells in the air, the relaxation in your body, and feel the gratitude for this experience, whether it's imaginary or it's a memory, it doesn't matter. Feeling the joy, the pleasure, the bliss. Feel yourself deeply grateful for the very life that you have. Maybe now adding a simple memory, your perfect cup of coffee, or a smile from your child, your puppy, or a beautiful piece of art. Just feeling that elevation of your frequency by tuning to these simple pleasures, these things for which you feel deep appreciation. Feel that energy lifting higher and higher, as though it's filling the entire space within, wherever you're seated. Every cell, every atom bathed in that frequency of joy, gratitude, freedom. Feeling it intensify now. From the top of your head to the tips of your toes, and moving out across your body, out through your subtle body. Connected to everyone here and those who will listen back later. Now taking a deep breath in through your nose. Let it go out through your mouth with a sigh. Bringing some gentle movement back to your body. And as you're ready, blinking open your eyes, knowing you can go back to that space at any time, basking in that pleasure, knowing that you have just liberated consciousness on behalf of all. Every time we meet and release our own fear, we do it on behalf of all. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the work of my life. This is the only true form of healing. And the third level is the year-long training to be able to evaluate the subtle energy body of those that you serve. I am currently taking interviews for our July 2021 intake, and I'll share the link here for those of you who would like to get to know more about this service and to spend some time with me one-to-one. It's my absolute privilege to serve you. So much love to you all.